If you don't know, Tim and I went through IVF. We had infertility struggles for almost 3 years, and I think I was right because I got a positive test like 3.5 days after that. Oh, I forgot to mention a pretty big one. If you know what I mean, then you would be thinking, hey, is this gonna come back up later? If you don't know, Tim and I went through IVF. We had infertility struggles for almost 3 years. We did IUI, TO, and we also did IVF/ICSI. So we got pregnant on our first frozen embryo transfer, which we were so ecstatic about. And I took that time to write down everything in my phone, symptoms, what I was feeling, like the day of the transfer, and just in that 2-week wait, even though I didn't have to wait 2 weeks, I only waited 4 days to test. But there is a video finding out that I'm pregnant that I will link down below for you guys. But yeah, I'm just so excited that we're pregnant. I'm actually 26 weeks now, so this is a first trimester recap. That's kind of past the first trimester because I'm about to be out of my second trimester in a couple weeks here. But anyway, let's go ahead and dig in. All right, I am trying to get the Christmas tree in because of Vlogmas, so I think this is a better angle. But anyway, so let's start. We had our frozen embryo transfer on June 20th. It was such an exciting day. I was nervous, of course, but we were both just ecstatic about the entire thing moving forward because it felt like months and months had just been put into this process, and I was doing daily injections and we were just ready for it to happen. So I wrote on that day, everything went smoothly. The doctor was so nice and sweet. She was even very gentle with having to move the catheter around and resetting the speculum. So they have to do, I mean, obviously they want to make sure that the embryo leaves the catheter and is in you and not stuck in the catheter, and that no damage happens during that point to the embryo. So everything is a gentle process, but everyone there was just so comforting, and it was a great experience for what we did have to go through. I took Valium for this procedure. I was not prescribed it initially, and I did request it. So if you think that you're gonna be anxious, or if you have experienced cramping, like more so intense cramping after your IUIs, I would recommend Valium. This is the first time that we took it, and I'm kind of questioning if I took Valium during my IUIs, if we would have gotten pregnant, because I experienced like severe cramping afterwards that I think may have impacted the process. I was told that it didn't impact it, but I just personally have a feeling that it may have. So I wrote here that I had no pain at all with the transfer. It was so great. I had slight twinges all afternoon, and then after dinner, we went out to Outback. I specifically remember this. It was like 7 to 8 p.m. I felt like a significant pinch, and I mean like someone had just like pinched me right inside. And I thought to myself, and I smiled, and I was like, that was probably implantation. And I think I was right because I got a positive test like 3.5 days after that, which is absolutely insane. Yeah, I said here, I felt my eyes go wide, and Tim's like, what? Fingers crossed. Day 1 after the transfer, just had a little bit of soreness, upset stomach and crampy-ish, but that was pretty much it. On day 2 and 3, I kept having like weird dreams, and I was sleeping more often. And I was on medication at this time, so I know that was like what was affecting it. And then just having like sore breasts. So at this point, I would have been about, let's see, 7 to 8 DPO. And then on day 4 is when I took a pregnancy test, and I got a very faint line. Not sure if it's gonna show up there for you guys, but very faint line on 4 days past our 5-day transfer. Day 5, took more pregnancy tests, the lines kept getting darker, and I was just experiencing cramps throughout that whole time, and just bad dreams. So it seems like that first like 2-week wait that I would have experienced like traditionally, it was period-like cramps and headaches and bad dreams. But yeah, so excited. I got my yes on a pregnancy test. Obviously, we've been waiting a very long time for this to happen, so we were very excited. Alrighty. So on day 15, it seems like I was feeling like a little bit queasy, and then that went away. And then in that 3rd week, so it says day 21, so that would be like week 3, I just started to have some spotting, which concerned me. I did talk to my physician. My blood work turned out great. Later my sonogram turned out great, but I did have spotting that was kind of scary, and then sometimes it was more than spotting. It was like kind of like light bleeding, so I was kind of freaked out for a week there, had a lot of anxiety, but everything turned out well. So the day of the ultrasound, we had our sonographer come in. They looked at the gestational sac, which was so crazy because I'm always going in there and they're checking my follicle count, and this time we were able to see that there's a baby in there. They showed our baby's heartbeat and they were beating at 121 beats per minute. The doctor came in and they gave us an estimated due date. They let us take videos and pictures of the screen, and they gave us printouts from the ultrasound as well. So it's just so crazy to see that initial like embryo picture go to a baby. It was fantastic. So at 7 weeks pregnant, I was having nausea and queasiness. It's more so in the evenings that I was getting it. I don't know why they call it morning sickness, and you'll hear people say this all the time. I get morning sickness, but it happens all day. Mine was more so in the evening, and I'm not sure why, but it was around like dinner time that I would start to feel like super sick. And then I never really threw up, and I remember talking to my OB at 8 weeks after we got another ultrasound done, so cute. But I remember talking to them and I was saying, oh, you know, I'm not really throwing up or anything. That day, I went to work and I threw up, and then I went home and I ended up getting nausea medication like a week or two later because I just felt so terribly sick all the time. And I was getting sick quite often in comparison to the first few weeks of my pregnancy. I also had a dream at 8 weeks and 1 day that we did a gender reveal, and it was a girl, which actually it turned out to be a girl, so that's kind of cool. I also started to experience exhaustion at 8 weeks. I said, I am exhausted. 2:30 p.m. and can barely keep my eyes open. Desperately want to be home and cozied up in bed or on the couch. So it sounds like I was at work and could not keep my eyes open. At this point, I was also doing progesterone and oil shots. So these are daily shots that you do every single morning, and they're not fun. It's a pretty big needle, it's a thick solution, and my butt was sore. So they go like right into your hip, and of course you're sitting there, you're moving around all day, and it just becomes so sore. I was so bruised, and you actually continue this up until 10 weeks of pregnancy. So around 8 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh. And then in the end of the 8th week, I was like, only 8 more injections to go. I'm so sore, but it's okay. Yeah, around 9 weeks, I realized that you can throw up after eating, you can throw up while you're hungry. And I had gone down, I was like, oh gosh, I have to eat something like right now. And I put toast in my toaster, and I was like, you know, nope. And I had to go to the bathroom. So that was a learning experience for me. 9 weeks and 3 days, we got to hear our baby's heartbeat for the first time. It was 174 beats per minute. So in that first trimester, it's typically way higher, and then it slowly drops down to like the 155 range, which is normal. August 10th at 10 weeks, I said, made it to the double digits of pregnancy weeks. Pretty good day, except heartburn was absolutely killing me. Took a few Tums and a Rolaids, and this has pretty much not stopped. I feel like I had a few weeks of a break after I got into my second trimester, and now it's back again. And that, sometimes it can wreck your day. I feel like around 10 weeks is also when I started having like, I don't really think I've had like super weird cravings, but I will look back and be like, wow, that was like a really weird lunch combination that I ate. So I noted it because this one was so bizarre. On 10 weeks and 3 days, I had a cinnamon raisin bagel with cream cheese and then a cup of broccoli cheddar soup. Like I ate that together with a piece of chocolate cake. Chocolate cake was an exception because it was my aunt's birthday. But eating a cinnamon raisin bagel with cream cheese and broccoli cheddar soup together, I don't feel like that mixes well. And I would not eat that now. At 12 weeks and 3 days, we had our 12-week scan, 153 beats per minute. Tim had ordered an at-home Doppler. We were trying it out, but you really can't hear anything that early. So if you're trying it at home, I wouldn't suggest freaking out about that either. Oh, and my first trimester towards the end is when I started to experience like sore gums and sore teeth. That's normal from what I've heard as well. My dentist told me it's normal, and my OB said that it's normal as well. Week 12 and week 13, I was super nauseous the entire time. And then slowly around like 14 to 16, getting that second trimester is when I stopped being nauseous. So there is hope for you if you are at 12 weeks and you're like, hey, I thought this was gonna go away. It will most likely go away. I know some people have it their whole pregnancy, but for me, it went away. So I'm very thankful about that. It was so great to just start eating again normally. If you know what I mean, then you would be thinking, hey, is this gonna come back up later? because that was like a constant thought sometimes when I was eating, like, do I really want to eat this? And sometimes, like, I lost a lot of weight during my first trimester too. I lost 8 to 10 pounds because I just wasn't eating because I didn't want to throw it up, or I was throwing it up. So yeah, but everything was fine. Obi didn't, like, there was no concern for that either. And then one other thing is that at 12 weeks, I took an early glucose test. I did fail it in the second trimester. Like 2 weeks later, I retook the test and I passed it. So no concerns there. I am gonna be retaking it in 2 weeks because you always have to redo it in your second trimester anyway. So I'll be taking it then, and I'm skipping straight to the glorious 3 hour, which is not fun at all, but I will survive. I'll get through it. I've already done it, so I'll be a pro. Oh, I forgot to mention a pretty big one. During like that 2 week wait period, or directly after I found out I was pregnant, I found out I had COVID. So I was super sick, had a fever. I really couldn't take much for it. I was taking Tylenol, but trying not to do anything to impact the pregnancy. So I felt horrible, and I was excited to have like start saving up PTO for my leave, and I ended up taking 40 hours because I was sick with COVID. So that was fun. But anyway, that was my first trimester recap. I am so happy to say that I am 26 weeks pregnant now, that our IVF transfer was successful, and that we have a beautiful, beautiful baby girl on the way. We got to see a 4D picture of her the other day, and I'm just so excited that she's in our lives and will be here before we know it. So I hope you guys have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.